Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Musu. In today's recipe, we are going to be making orange niblets. They are pieces of oranges that I've preserved in a jar, and you get to eat the pieces of orange, and guess what? The juice on this orange is also delicious to drink. So stay tuned because today's recipe is going to be very short and simple. But before we move ahead, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button so whenever I'm on here with new recipes or DIY projects, you can get to know immediately. And also, all the recipes that I have here are on my website. The link is below this video. You can also go there and watch other recipes and see other recipes that I have posted on my website. So stay tuned. We'll be back to make the orange niblets. So welcome back. As I mentioned before, this is a very simple recipe. You can make this in no time. And the recipes include only 2 ingredients. Yes, only 2. We're going to be using, oranges. And 2 oranges, I think, will fit into this jar. And water. And again, we're not measuring anything here. Apart from the 2 oranges I'm going to use, I'm just eyeballing how much water I put into the jar. I'm also going to be using, as I mentioned, this mason jar. If you don't have a mason jar, you can use any other jar that you have at home as long as it has a lid that seals tightly. And we're also going to be using this pot. I've already put water in the pot. If you watch my previous videos on fruit preservation, you know that I put the water halfway up into the pot, half full. You don't want the water to be full in the pot because when you place the jar in and it starts to boil, the water is going to get displaced and spill all over. So make sure the water in your pot is half full. So let's move on to getting these niblets done. We're going to peel the oranges. Yes, you peel your oranges. And again, I mentioned before that I don't trash my orange peel. I don't discard them. I always use my orange peel in some other recipe. I keep them, I preserve them and keep them to use in recipes that call for orange rind or something else that would involve the orange peel. So yeah, I just don't trash my orange peel. And these niblets are very, very delicious, I'm telling you. Sometimes you just don't want to suck on the orange, you know, you want to eat that fruit. And that's what I like about this recipe because the niblets are, you know, just tasty, they're delicious, you know, they're oranges, just natural, pure oranges. You don't have to do anything but just open that jar, pop that jar open and eat your niblets. You know, call them orange pieces or whatever, but I just call them orange niblets. Because they are tiny, you can break them up into as small as you want them. If you want them chunky, you can just, you know, leave the pieces a little larger. But however you want it, as long as you preserve it, they are yours to eat. So yeah, you will peel your oranges. And after you peel your oranges, you want to remove this white looking, you know, succumb skin. We don't eat that because it's kind of bitter, so you don't want to eat that. Yeah, so I'm going to continue peeling this white portion of the oranges, and when we get back, I will show you how I'm going to prepare the pieces of oranges and preserve them. So stay tuned. So welcome back. I've gone ahead and removed all of that white peel from on the oranges. You want to make sure you take everything out because they leave a bitter taste. So you want to make sure you pull out everything. And sometimes there's this little core that's stuck in the middle. You also want to make sure you pull that out. So after you've done that, you're going to pluck the oranges like you see I'm doing. If you grew up in Liberia, you know what I mean by pluck the orange, and or any other part of the world where oranges are in abundance, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to pluck the oranges, and make sure they come in those little individual pieces that you're seeing right there. You know, like that. Yeah, you want to pluck your oranges. If you're using more than one. Yeah. You want to pluck your oranges. Make sure you pluck every one of them. But again, as I mentioned, it's up to you how you want to leave them. But if you want that juiciness in the liquid that you can have as an orange juice later, I would strongly suggest that you dice these or cut them into smaller pieces. When you break them up, that juiciness is going to just flow into the water. And okay, this is what I was talking about. You see this center piece right here, this little piece? You don't want to keep that in there. So you want to take that out as well. So yeah, we are plucking the oranges. This shouldn't take too long. Like I said, this is a very easy recipe. You can get your kids to do this. Now, what I do is after plucking the oranges, I just go ahead and cut them into, you know, tiny little pieces like that. You can break them up with your hand if you want, but because I have a knife here, I'm just going to use the knife to work a little faster doing that. And the reason why I cut them up into pieces, as I mentioned before, they add to the juiciness you're going to get in that liquid. Because if you just drop them in there like that, there won't be any interaction between the water and the juice from that orange, from the oranges. So I'll go ahead and do them like this. This is what the cut up pieces will look like. The next step is going to be, we'll put all of this into this jar. You put all of your orange pieces into the jar. I have another one here that is not cut up. Okay. So you want to put all of your orange pieces into this jar. And I was right. 2 medium-sized oranges fit perfectly in there. After we do that, we're going to eyeball and pour water. If you watch my other video, I mentioned that when you pour in the water in the jar, make sure you don't go to the top of the jar, the rim. You want to stay at the neck of the jar. You want to stay at the neck of the jar. So that's what I'm going to do. I've added my water. Wipe my hands. I've added my water to the jar. And then you want to, oh, there's another piece here. Let me put that in there. I don't want to leave anything out. It's another piece that was hiding here. So I'm going to put that in there. And we're going to seal up this jar tightly. You want to seal up your jar. Once you've done this, we're going to put this jar into this pot of water. And we're going to take it to the stove and we'll boil the jar in this pot of water. Again, I always bring my water to a boil. However long it's going to take you. It might take you about a couple of minutes to bring it to a boil. The minute you see that the bubbles begin, then you allow it to boil for another 5 minutes rapidly, because you want that rapid boiling to seal your jar. So I'm going to come back and I will show you what the next step would be. So there you have it. Right here are the orange nibbles in your jar. The jar, I'm going to allow this jar to cool completely. As I mentioned before, I don't like to pour cold water over my jars. I allow them to cool completely. However long they take to cool, I allow my jars to cool completely before storing them. Now, people have asked me before, can I keep this outside of the refrigerator after they are cool? I've never kept them outside the refrigerator, but what I would suggest is that you give it a try. My thinking is that if you keep it out of the refrigerator, outside of the refrigerator, you have to make them in smaller batches so that, you don't have just this whole jar sitting out there. And if you keep it outside of the refrigerator and open a jar, I would suggest that you consume that jar entirely or refrigerate the rest of what you have in there. Because in my opinion, if you open a jar that is not refrigerated, you introduce bacteria. And if you just keep it outside of the refrigerator, it might probably start to, mold or not taste very good. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you like what I do here, if you like my recipes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button so that you are always reminded or notified when I have new videos. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.